My dad was Brian, and he was born in Conisbrough, which was a mining village between Doncaster and Rotherham. He travelled around Europe, and I've found postcards and letters from people that he's met in Holland and Germany. He was one of those lads, I think, in those days that was quite well known, that was respected and looked up to.
Well, when I was younger, I always thought he was sort of a big, imposing sort of a fella. He was about 6'2", and he seemed a big man. And when I was small, he was quite imposing and quite loud.
He always seemed a big man to me, and he had this big handlebar moustache, didn't he? Deep voice.
Strong character.
Yeah, that's how I remember Brian.
He was a very sociable person, do anything to help anybody. He retired from work slightly early, and when he was 62, he had a stroke. It was actually the most major one, but it could have been worse, and it affected one side of his body. 7 or 8 years later, he had another stroke. I used to ring every morning before I went to work to check that he was up and he was okay. And this particular morning I rang and he didn't answer. I thought, oh, he's on the loo. Got in and he was basically in bed and he couldn't move. He ended up in hospital and he was there for 3.5 weeks. And after 3 weeks they diagnosed him with vascular dementia which is triggered by stroke, damage to the brain. They said that he could not go and live on his own back at his house, and I had 3 days to go and find a home for him.
Brian overwhelmingly wanted to be cared for at home, and Debbie agreed he'd come to live with her and her 2 sons, supported by a care package from Doncaster Primary Care Trust. As Brian's physical condition worsened, Debbie was about to be faced with more challenges of her own.
Dad had only been here a couple of months when I found out I got cancer, and it was quite a major operation because I had a reconstruction at the same time. I think the major difficulty when you're a carer like that is the little things that you take for granted, like just jumping in the car and going to the local shop. And when I actually came home from hospital, I couldn't use my left arm, and Dad was becoming less and less mobile, and changing him was becoming you had to change him on the bed. And I was at my wit's end, personally. I was really at my wit's end. I thought, you know, I can't not work, I just can't afford to not work. I can't carry on like this. I need more help than I'm getting. And it just got to a point where I really was nearly at breaking point, and I rang up continuing care one day and I said, I've got to speak to somebody. You know, the pressure that's on carers, I need to speak to somebody. Rang me back and said, look, we've got this pilot programme that I think you might be interested in being part of, to do with personal health budgets, and it may support you to have more flexibility and actually help, you know, your situation with your dad. And it was the best thing that happened to us.
My role is to support the process of a personal health budget. It starts off with a self-assessment questionnaire which covers every aspect of a person's life, which is then turned into your personal budget. You then decide on a support plan and how you are going to spend that amount of budget that you have. Because of Debbie's job, it wasn't straightforward. Some weeks she did 3 days a week and some weeks she did 2 days a week. You have more choice and more flexibility about how your care is provided, and Debbie took control of the support that she needed within the budget that had been agreed.
The difference that the flexible personal health budget made to us, it transformed our situation completely. It meant that on a Saturday I knew that I had carers with Dad who, I mean, to be honest, they knew him. They'd been with him for over 2 years. They loved him, some of them truly did, and I could go off quite confident with my son and have quality time with my 13-year-old son every Saturday between 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock. And that is just irreplaceable. What's important is the bit when you're still alive, that you've got that quality, you've got the quality of life, and that the whole family have.
I think that Debbie wouldn't have managed to carry on caring for her dad at home, and clearly through the conversations that we'd had, whilst we were building a support plan up and understanding what her dad's needs were and what Debbie's needs were as well, had she not had the support that the flexibility provided, I think that her dad would have probably ended up either in hospital for the last days of his life or in care. And I think from that point of view, psychologically, Debbie would have never been the same.
He was in the right place, I think, and I think Deborah did absolutely brilliant, and everybody around her. They were all fantastic with him, and probably that's testament to why he lasted so long. Otherwise, I don't think he would have. He was in the right place.
Once we accessed the personal health budget, it made a tremendous difference, and without it, I don't know how much longer we could have carried on, because, you know, it really was very difficult. But it wasn't just us, it made a difference to Dad, because obviously if our state of mind it becomes more positive again and we're happier, he was happy.
Brian died at home, where he wanted to be, on the 23rd of December 2009.